Hi, Dongxue and Chengxi, can you hear me?
Yes, we're coming to you right now above the stadium, and for the following few days, we'll be touring inside the venues and discover the latest, the finest, and the coolest stuff for you guys. Aren't we, Chengxi?
Yes, exactly. And before we start, I want to introduce everybody to these, oh, I'm holding it upside down, these two very lovely mascots of the Expo this year. Now, they are inspired by the local gibbons of Hainan province. Aren't they just cute and adorable?
I wish I could take them home.
They're just lovely. Well, anyway, I am very much looking forward to the Expo this year, but I doubt very much that we'll be able to see it all because there are 1,300 brands from 69 countries joining after all. Now, we are flying towards the stadium. It covers 80,000 square meters. Now, we've got sections on fashion item, jewelry, travel lifestyle products, foods and nutrient supplements, trade, service trade, and there are also two sections where Chinese provinces and regions and cities will bring their delegations of local companies. Now, these are the two sections that I will be checking out later this week. How about you?
Well, I wish I could see them all, honestly, but you know, time are limited for us. But there's one thing I'll definitely be touring around, that's the jewelry section.
Ooh.
You know, there's a fabric golden eggs will be debuted their products here. I know the name might sound fresh to most of the Chinese consumers, but it's actually a very well-known brand in Europe for more than 200 years old. And also there will be domestic brands as well. But there's one interesting fact I want to share with you guys is that China is actually the world's second largest market for diamonds, you know.
Wow.
Well, compared to US, the number was only at 60% for young buyers, fueled by young buyers. But however, the figure in China is a whopping 80%, meaning the market in China is still have a much bigger room to grow.
Now, there are a lot of things that I'm planning to check out in the domestic company section. Well, much less shiny than yours, but I think just as interesting. I'll just mention one. Did you know that the city of Xuchang in China's Henan province is the world capital of hairpieces?
You mean wigs?
Yes, exactly. Now, apparently, much of the city's economy depends on the wig-making industry, and they make up the lion's share in the world's wig market since they sell very well in the US and countries in Africa. Now, since I am now all interested, I might go to the Henan Pavilion and try one out myself.
I'm sure you'll be look fabulous.
I have no doubt about that. Anyway, I think another highlight is that there are going to be many launch ceremonies of new products from participating countries. And we even saw a product launch hall dedicated to exactly that in the Expo's news center.
Yes, the official says there are about 70 debut events will be held during this year's Expo. As I mentioned earlier, the fabric golden eggs will be one of them, and also, you know, Swatch from Switzerland, Shiseido from Japan, excuse me, and also Dell Technologies and Tapestry from the United States. They will all bring their latest products for this year's, for the inaugural Expo. And you know, it's not just about international brands. A lot of domestic brands are liaison with their foreign partners, such as, you know, the conglomerate Fosun from Shanghai. And their CEO earlier, a couple of days ago, he mentioned that all these partnership and all these debut shows not only reflect the global confidence in the Chinese market, but more importantly, show the Chinese market is changing and becoming more diversified.
Exactly, I totally agree. Now, see, I'm interested in the fact that a major yacht-making company called Hans Yacht from Germany is launching a new model this year at the Expo. Now, in fact, more than 50 yacht companies worldwide are participating in this year's Expo, and I think part of the reason behind this enthusiasm is that there is a new policy starting this year in Hainan province that allow tourism companies to import yachts from overseas manufacturers with zero tariff and zero value-added tax.
Well, I think that's actually very exciting news. Yeah. You know, a couple of days ago, I talked to one of the yacht company managers. She told me, well, can you imagine 10 years ago, there were less than 10 yachts in the city of Sanya, but the figure changed dramatically. In 2019, there are over 100 yachts available for rent. So all of this saying, there's still much bigger room for China to grow in terms of the yacht industry.
Now, that's all for us right now. If our audiences are interested in this conversation, they can follow us on the CGTN app and all of our accounts across social media platforms where this conversation will continue. But for now, back to you in the studio.
Since you guys are going to have tons of fun in the future and a helicopter ride is just a start. Well, with only a day away from the opening of the China International Consumer Products Expo, organizers have briefed the media on why the inaugural event is so important. CGTN's Cui Huiyao has more.
Zhu Xiaoliang, director of the consumption department of the...
Let's continue with our new media on social media live stream. Right, where were we? Yachts. Yachts, exactly. Well, think about all the money that tourism companies can save with the new tariff policy, right? Actually, one yacht importer actually told the media that his company imported a yacht with $8 million US, and the new policy of zero tariff and zero value-added tax saved the company $1.9 million US. Can you believe that?
Wow, that's a staggering amount of money.
Oh, before we continue,
Yep.
do you want to introduce the setting that we're in right now, this helicopter?
You know what? I feel like you might be more eligible to introduce the helicopter. You've been here for like how many times? 10?
Yeah, well, I would say three. But this is a new edition. In my first time, I was in an older edition, but this one is brand new. This is the new purchase from our China Media Group, and it's equipped with state-of-the-art technology that can broadcast in 8K with a 5G signal.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
All these cutting-edge technologies.
And now this time we're flying over Haikou. At least the location changes every time.
Yeah, and probably later you'll be seeing all these coastlines of Haikou City. And there we go. Now we can now you can see the bird's eye view of the Haikou City, and you can see the coastlines. It's just stunning.
Yeah. And you can just get the feel of just how fast this city is developing and how fast this region is developing, especially after China launched a free trade port policy since, I think, June 2020.
Yes. Yeah. Well, since June, China has launched this new this free trade port policy on Hainan. But I want to talk about why Hainan, this southern Chinese island, being chosen as the free trade port. Actually the world already has a host of free trade and special economic zones, but I think few can compare to Hainan. First of all, it's being designated as a free trade port, as we mentioned earlier, which gives many more freedoms. And also, although it's an island, but it's it's very big in size, much bigger than
it's
say
an entire province.
Yes,
right?
the whole island, because and the size much bigger, let's say, than Hong Kong and Singapore. And with all that, there's also its geographic position right there between the Chinese mainland and the ever-expanding ASEAN countries. And you probably know this much better than me, because you've been writing and reporting all these bee stories. China and ASEAN's imports and exports only focused on the coconuts before, right? So now with all these free trade policies flooded in, I think there will be more products and more things will be going through from China and ASEAN countries.
Well, especially after the free trade port, right? Because then a lot of traders can ship their raw materials to Hainan province with zero tariff, because this whole area now becomes a huge bonded area where if you're importing material and then can be manufactured here locally and sold elsewhere in the world, it doesn't charge extra fee to go through Hainan, right? This is one of the major advantage of a free trade port having been set up here and being attractive to all these companies worldwide.
Yeah, and I want to mention one thing. It's like it's not just about companies. Actually, individuals or like consumers like us can also benefit from these free trade port policies. Let's say the duty-free shopping policy for travelers came into effect since last July. The number of duty-free shopping items was increased from the total value was increased from 30,000 yuan to 100,000 yuan this year.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the number of duty-free items was also increased from 38 to 45. And they, more importantly, they dropped the duty-free limit of 8,000 yuan for each item.
Wow. So that's why you see a lot of tourists in Hainan actually,
Yes.
because well, a month ago I was here for the Boao Forum, and
Yeah.
on the streets of Boao you see a lot of travelers from all across China and Haikou as well. I think one of the interesting thing that I've observed here is that a lot of people from northern China, and especially the northeastern part of China, would like to come here first, of course, as you mentioned, to shop, right? A lot of
Yes.
tax-free items. And secondly, the climate here is just so different from the north, right? You're basically like you're traveling in Southeast Asia, but you're still within China in a comfortable and familiar environment. But the climate is so much different from northern China. It makes it a very viable travel destination. Even.
Yes, especially with all this COVID-19 pandemic hit,
Yeah.
you know, so lots of people might just prefer to stay within the country and where
Yeah.
to shop.
Yeah.
Well, of course, come to Hainan.
Yeah, and people will be like, hey, we've got beautiful beaches and oceans here within our borders, and why not just go to Hainan instead of other places?
Exactly.
Yeah, and also during the Consumer Products Expo, there are going to be, I heard, a lot of discount activities and sales activities across many stadiums, not only in Haikou, but all across the province. And visitors can also buy from the expo itself. Some of the items exhibited in the expo are able to be purchased
On the very last day, right?
on the very last day, on the public day. So a lot of the tickets were sold. People are looking to see and buy some of the stuff here. Although there is a limit on the number of stuff that are available, and the number of money that's involved in the transaction, but a lot of the items can be bought. So a lot of people have been very, very enthusiastic.
Well, let's say if you could have shopped here,
Yeah.
what would you purchase? What would you buy?
Well,
There's just so many.
there's just so many. I think I'd buy a fine bottle of Scotch whiskey. I think.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
a nice choice.
Yeah, from Greenland. I think they're showing a lot of their liquor selections, and I think the Irish delegation is also bringing some Irish whiskey here. So yeah, so that's what I have in mind. What about you?
Well, for me, I would go to L'Oreal for all these cosmetics. And what else? Let me see. I might go check on the nutritious supplement sections so I can get something for my parents. And what else?
Well, some of the diamond stuff that you talked
Oh,
about.
that's way too expensive for me.
Well, then a hairpiece though.
Oh yeah.
What
the
about a
wigs.
hairpiece that
The
we talked
wigs.
about? That
Yeah.
probably something like that. Anyway, so as you can see, a lot of things can be seen and bought here. So a lot of people have been very interested. The tickets have been sold in 3 batches, and I think when the second batch was being sold, 1,500 tickets were sold within just 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So Hainan is promoting itself, setting itself up as a shopping paradise in the future. It wants to attract some 300 billion yuan of consumption within the island, where otherwise people would go to overseas destinations to shop. Because before people think about tax-free items, they go to South Korea, they go to Japan.
Yes.
But now you've got Hainan.
Yes. And do remember that Hainan, the free trade port, is not only just about shopping. There are also, the government has also launched a series of policies in terms of attract talents and incentive and all these tariffs policies.
Yeah, I think all in all, I think this will also be very exciting for companies around the world as well, especially we're in a very difficult trade climate, and also obviously we've got COVID-19. So a lot of companies actually needs a stable and vibrant consumer market to maintain healthy business going on in the future, right? So the fact that China still has a very vibrant consumer force that is able and very eager to shop for foreign products is actually provide a sense of stability for many companies who are looking to survive and thrive after COVID-19.
Yes, and already we have some very positive voices from CEOs or the heads of international companies. For instance, the CEO, the presidents of L'Oreal North Asia zone and the CEO of L'Oreal China. He said that consumption becomes the core driving force for economic growth in China, and beauty is becoming a big industry. And he's like super confident within the Chinese market.
Yeah, and last but not least, I would want to mention that the Australian nutrient supplement maker Blackmores actually said that in 2020, when the entire global economy was impacted by COVID-19, their H2 fiscal report of 2020 actually suggested a 25% jump in business in the Chinese area. So that's just speaks to the consumer power. So so it's fitting that we're holding a consumer product expo here.
Yes, despite all that, I think lots of companies are still seeing the positive trends here in the Chinese market. And for those of you who are still with us with CGTN, if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave the message on all of our social media platforms. And for the following few days, we will get to you the debut product and anything you want to know. Just leave us your messages. And we'll see you guys soon tomorrow morning.
Bye-bye.
Bye.